Hello and welcome to Livestream, the show where you get to air your opinions on the day's big stories. It's here, the platform that provides you with a space to make your voice heard. Well, in a historic order that strikes at the heart of VVIP culture in India, the Supreme Court today struck down a 2016 law that had been passed by the Akhilesh Yadav government in Uttar Pradesh, providing lifetime housing to former chief ministers. Government bungalows are public property that belongs to the people, the Supreme Court has said today. It's also said chief ministers, once they demit office, are at par with common citizens. The court also went on to say that that UP law had created a special class of citizens and was not guided by the constitutional principle of equality. Well, on the show, we're asking you, should the same principle now be extended to other VVIPs who overstay their welcome in official bungalows long after they demit office? Should any exceptions, in fact, be made for former presidents, prime ministers or other VVIPs? Call us on that number on your screen. You can also tweet us at NDTV Livestream. You can send your WhatsApp videos to 8377088377 or just call us, that number going live as we speak. Let's just bring you up to speed on the story first. Akhilesh Yadav, his father Mulayam Singh Yadav and Mayawati are among those who stand to lose their right to live in palatial government bungalows in the heart of Lucknow, with the Supreme Court cancelling changes to the law that had enabled former chief ministers to live in their official homes for life. Alok Pandey with that story.
No more government bungalows for life for these former UP chief ministers. The Supreme Court has ruled that former chief ministers in UP need to vacate their government bungalows in Lucknow, questioning why they should be allotted bungalows for life.
ये एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय है क्योंकि इसका जो प्रभाव है वो अन्य प्रदेशों में जो ये कुप्रथा लागू करने की योजना हो रही थी उस पर भी इसका असर पड़ेगा.
In 2016, the Supreme Court passed a similar order. But just days after the order, the previous Akhilesh Yadav government circumvented the court order by passing a new law and saying it would pass the top court's scrutiny since the court's objections were technical in nature. But those changes were arbitrary and discriminatory and violated the concept of equality, the Supreme Court ruled today. The court also said the chief minister, once they demit office, is at par with the common citizen. When in 2016, the then Akhilesh Yadav government circumvented the Supreme Court order on former chief ministers vacating government bungalows, one of the excuses that was given was that, look, as former chief ministers, we need a lot of security. But in today's order, the Supreme Court has clearly said that while former chief ministers are entitled to security protocols, at the same time, it does not mean that they can actually occupy bungalows for lifetime. The court has said that this is against the constitutional right to equality.
देखिए, माननीय कोर्ट का फैसला है और जैसे ही उसकी जो फैसले की कॉपी है वो हम लोग स्टडी करेंगे और जो भी कानून है और कानून अनुसार जो भी सरकार की ड्यूटी है, सरकार अपना ड्यूटी का अनुपालन करेगी, सरकार अपना काम करेगी.
While the Supreme Court made it clear that its judgment was limited to the Uttar Pradesh law, there is now likely to be scrutiny in other states too, where former chief ministers have government bungalows. With Arunachalam Vaidyanathan in Delhi, in Lucknow, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
All right, we're joined on the program now by Ghanshyam Tiwari, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. We have Sanjay Jha of the Congress with us. Anjali Damania, social activist, someone who's been associated with the Aam Aadmi Party, also is with us. And we'll also be going across to Nimisha and Imtiaz, who are going to be talking to our viewers on what they believe is the way forward from here, how they are responding to the Supreme Court's order tonight. But first, let me go across to Alok Pandey, who's joined by citizens of Lucknow who are directly perhaps impacted in a way by this. These are enormous palatial bungalows in the heart of Lucknow city, which will now be vacated by these former chief ministers. Alok, what seems to be the mood in Lucknow after this verdict?
Well, yes, Ankita, the point is, why should so many people or these former chief ministers have bungalows for life? But I think it is best that we put this question to an assortment of Lucknowites here who have strong opinions on this. I want to start with you, ma'am. Aapka naam kya hai? What's your name?
I'm Simran.
Simran, what is your view on this? The Supreme Court has said that, look, you might be former chief ministers, you might need security protocols, you might need other things, but it doesn't entitle you to a free lifetime or a lifetime bungalow, you know. What do you feel about this, ma'am?
I agree with Supreme Court because Chief Minister always has been allotted a big bungalow, and after his tenure ends and another Chief Minister comes, and then again a big bungalow gets allotted to another Chief Ministers. So what I feel that the previous Chief Minister should vacate and the new Chief Minister should enter that. Yes, then there should be some provision for the ex-CM also, that some other good place should be allotted to the CM. It is not कि उनको बिल्कुल आप निकाल दो कि आपने पहले इतना अच्छा उनको सब दिया, because for 5 years they also served the state.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this?
I feel once they vacated their office, they should vacate the bungalows also, because it would be injustice to the taxpayers' money. They are also entitled to some pays and perks after they vacate the office. Maybe they should pay rent for that bungalow. That would be kind of equal thing. Because if they are not vacating, they should pay the rent.
आपको लगता है कि ये VVIP कल्चर जो है, चाहे ये हो, चाहे MLA हो, MLC हो, क्या सोचते हैं आप इसके बारे में?
सर, अगर ये लोग MLC बनते हैं, MLA बनते हैं या MPs बनते हैं, तो अगर एक बंदा तीनों चीज़ों में अगर वो पार्टिसिपेट करता है, तो इनको पेंशन, पैसा सब तीनों चीज़ों का बराबर इक्वली मिलता है. कॉमन पीपल्स को ये सब नहीं मिलते. अब अगर ये मुख्यमंत्री बन जाते हैं तो इनको बंगले भी अलॉटेड हो जाते हैं, वो भी ये पूरे लाइफ टाइम के लिए कब्जा कर लेते हैं. कभी कोई स्मारक बनवा देता है कि कोई उस पर आ नहीं पाए, रह ले, और ये सब इनका हो गया. तो इसमें पब्लिक के लिए क्या बचा है, आप ये सोचिए. पूरी लाइफ तो हमारी टैक्स पेयर से, हमारी पैसे पे ये ऐश करते हैं, मौज करते हैं, बाद में जो इतने भी रूल्स होते हैं वो हम फॉलो करें, इनके लिए नॉन नेगोशिएबल हो जाता है.
All right, let me take this straight across to our guest tonight. Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party is here with us tonight. Ghanshyam Tiwari, is this not going to be an embarrassment for Akhilesh Yadav, who literally brought in that law to circumvent what the Supreme Court had said in 2016? Let me just remind you of what the court said today. Government bungalows are public properties that belong to the people, and chief ministers, once they demit office, are at par with common citizens. Is your party now going to accept this? And is Akhilesh Yadav and Mulayam Singh Yadav going to vacate? Are they going to vacate their official bungalows now within a short time frame?
We respect the verdict of the Honorable Court and we would abide by it. Akhilesh Yadav ji accepts the verdict. He has never shown any intent to violate any verdict of the Supreme Court. As far as this issue is concerned, there are two sides of this issue. As some of your viewers also mentioned, that once they demit office, Uttar Pradesh has more than 20 crore people. The ex-chief minister also interacts with a lot of people. They serve the public agenda for a lot of people, interact with media, interact with various stakeholders in public policy. And the opposition is the voice of people on governance. So under this circumstances, it is important that there is space, room available for the ex-chief ministers.
Space certainly. Ghanshyam Tiwari, I don't think anyone is saying that space shouldn't be available, but should these be residences necessarily for former chief ministers? Now, the court today has said that the UP law created a special class of citizens and that this is constitutionally unacceptable.
We respect the court's verdict. It's a very strong point of view coming from equality for all in the country. And we respect that standpoint. But we are, as National President, as ex-Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, as somebody who developed a lot of infrastructure, good infrastructure and good policies for the state, he is a stakeholder in governance in the state. And such positions require some infrastructure to serve the people who come and show up and want help on various issues. We are not saying that there has to be a residence or there has to be an office. But as a country,
but it has been a residence so long, and the former chief minister actually felt that a law needed to be passed so that his predecessors could stay in the luxury to which they were accustomed. I mean, Mayawati, for instance, went well beyond the existing government bungalow that she had. She built enormously high walls. She completely transformed that space. So, is she now going to give it up happily after crores have been spent on that building?
Well, if the court says so, and if this is what Supreme Court says, then every ex-chief minister would abide by it. We have seen a similar situation in Bihar. We've seen in Uttar Pradesh, many other states. The fact is, an ex-chief minister who's still ready to serve the public agenda, interacts with thousands of people.
Okay, we got your point about that. You believe that a space is necessary, and we're countering that perhaps, why make that a residence? Why should they sort of stay on in these massive buildings? But I want to bring in Anjali Damania also. Do you believe that the judgment has reinforced the equality of individuals before the law, Anjali Damania? Was this something that, perhaps needed to happen earlier?
The thing is, I'm pretty amazed at the statements made by the Samajwadi Party spokesperson today, because it was the same party which in 2016 amended the Section 4 and brought in a Section 4(3) by which this particular law was introduced. And they wanted to overrule the order which was given in 2016. So for the moment, I'm actually pretty shocked with the humbleness showed by the Samajwadi Party leader, and this is exactly what should be done, because basically the property, it is a public property, it is owned by the people of this country, and people of this country should decide what should happen. So today, I feel the Supreme Court has only echoed the voice of common people like us, who genuinely believe that any public servant, an elected representative, whoever may be, even the chief minister, he is holding office for 5 years, for which he should be given that the place, the position, the ease of working, and after that, he has to, after demitting his office, he should give back the public space. And the
law already existed prior to that, Anjali Damania. If you can get that graphic up, post the 1980s, chief ministers were actually meant to leave those bungalows in a span of 15 days after they demitted office, and that was what was circumvented. I want to take this across to Nimisha, because she is in Delhi and she has people with her. Delhi is another place where we see so many instances, Nimisha, of people who refuse to vacate their official premises despite their terms ending or perhaps being voted out. This is something that is of particular interest possibly to citizens of the National Capital Region who see so much VVIP culture around them all the time.
Definitely, Ankita, this subject does not get brought up so often otherwise, but the Supreme Court ruling has definitely drawn attention to this, that there are so many ministers, so many former prime ministers, chief ministers who continue to hold these palatial houses, and of course we've seen them in central Delhi. I have with me some citizens over here who actually really agree with the Supreme Court order. I'll come to you first. What do you think about Supreme Court saying that this violates the right to equality, that former chief ministers continue to hold their houses for lifetime, a free house for their whole lives?
Yeah, so I agree with the Supreme Court, because I think these are all government properties, and these were allotted to ministers or government servants until they were in power. Once they are out of power, they are not eligible for these perks. So that's my take. So I agree with what the Supreme Court ruling says on this.
And so ministers have said that the reason that this was also important is because they need security even after they have lost their seats. Do you think security is a good reason to give them houses for their whole lives?
I don't think so. That security is the main issue. If you will take the responsibilities, or you want to become a minister to help people, public, so what kind of security you want?
What about former prime ministers and chief ministers? I mean, people who are holding really high offices, former presidents. Do you think they should get houses for life as a mark of respect?
No, I don't think so. Because मुझे नहीं लगता कि उनको वो सब चीजें मिलनी चाहिए, because they have lot of properties. Even if I'll talk about the Akhilesh Yadav and Mulayam Singh Yadav, so उनकी भी families से काफी लोग अभी तक ऐसे हैं जो सारे के सारे ही politics में हैं, and people, they are not that much of educated, but still they'll get the benefits.
So the people here are definitely saying, Ankita, that these are benefits that should not continue to be in the hands of former ministers. If they have lost office, they should pack up and leave.
All right, pack up and leave. That seems to have been the message that's gone out from the Supreme Court and is being echoed really by a lot of citizens across the country. Sanjay Jha, defaulters clearly belong to all parties. There is no high moral ground here. Even in Uttar Pradesh, one of the former chief ministers who's still occupying an official residence is from your party, Mr. NDTV. Does no party really have the high moral ground here?
Ankita, I have always said it and I'll repeat it again. There should be no first among equals in politics. You're there for public service. You are paid a certain money which is guaranteed to you by a parliamentary protocol or whatever the constitution allows, and you have to live within your means, and when you lose office you should demit all those perks and benefits. The American president, when he loses an election, he has to find his own private home, and he negotiates with his new landlord and finds a way to carry on with life. I completely agree that the Supreme Court verdict was a need of the hour. No politician from any political party has a business to occupy public assets.
But
and by the way, you and I know that,
Angita,
that most of the chief ministerial buildings or bungalows are in prime locality worth crores of money.
Everyone will pay lip service right now and not go against the Supreme Court's verdict after all. But, why even bring in a law to circumvent laws that already exist? And, is it because the system actually allows for this? And, turns a blind eye sometimes that the VVIPs continue to get away with this sort of thing. I have my first caller on the phone line, Captain Jaipal, calling from Rohtak at this point. Captain Jaipal, what is your question or comment?
Good evening, Ankita. If you give me a few seconds.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I'm a 20-year-old man who can throw some light on the subject.
Okay.
The only two agencies are working for the last 14 years. The media and the Honorable Supreme Court. Somebody hesitates, gets the guidelines, we come back to the media, go back to the Supreme Court. Why this stage has a reason why these people are not vacating? There was a Prime Minister who finished all the leaders who had a following in the society, who were honest, who were upright, and they were all finished off. Then came the second stage in the same party. They fitted a Prime Minister with a remote control. And all the cabinet ministers had sold their soul.
But Captain Jaipal, without going into the sort of, the long and short of it, what is your comment here on this matter itself? Do you believe then that no government bungalows should be available to anybody, not just chief ministers or former chief ministers? Should this be extended to other VVIPs, including former prime ministers and presidents?
Fully well. They are not entitled.
Yes.
They are being greedy.
Okay. They're being greedy. They're not entitled to these. Anjali Damania, tempers are clearly running high at this point, and I'm sure we'll get many similar views. But, it's not as though the government cannot formulate effective rules. These rules perhaps existed even before, but they're either ignored or they're not enforced, or in some cases, very blatantly, as in the case of Uttar Pradesh, they have been circumvented outright. So, how does one prevent something like this in the future? Do you believe the Supreme Court's order today is going to then be applicable to all such cases?
No, as the person just before me rightly said, basically it is only the courts that is ruling this country, because politicians seem to be clearly doing things only and only to benefit themselves. Now, this particular thing, the Section 4(3), was introduced by Akhilesh Singh in 2016, and that too after a court order. When the court clearly had said that the bungalows need to be vacated, they bring in a law to and enacted this law in the assembly to ensure that the chief ministers get this kind of an accommodation. And what is shocking is, I read the Section 4(3), which reads, the government residency shall be allotted to former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh at his or her request, and on payment of such rent may be determined from time to time by Estate Department of the government.
Right.
Now, I fail to understand how the hell do these politicians feel that they are entitled to any public property whatsoever. because once they leave the office, it is only and only the property of the people of this country.
Absolutely.
But
And I think the
somehow,
Supreme Court summed it up, Anjali Damania, when it said that the Uttar Pradesh law violates the principle of equality. It is not guided by the constitutional principle of equality, and that it's arbitrary, discriminatory, and violates the equality clause. And I think that really says it all. Shiv Kumar is on the phone line with us from Mumbai. Let's get a quick comment in before I take this back. Shiv Kumar, go ahead.
Yeah. See, these political guys are making a joke of everything. It's like, how can they ask for a house after their retirement or going out of the office? If a government servant is working in the government for 30 years, he has provided a quarters, and after retirement, he vacates that house. What is different between this politician and the other guys who are working? And you are questioning a little bit on the Supreme Court order. After the politician demit office, they become a citizen. First of all, they are always a citizen. And second, when they hold a political office, they are public servants. They are not above citizens. So this has to be made very clear to the politician.
All right. I think that's a very fair point. Imtiaz is also with us at this point from Mumbai. Imtiaz, what are citizens of Mumbai saying? Do they have to battle VVIP culture in the same way that perhaps we in the national capital do? But how are they responding to this order?
Yes. So yes, actually yes. Once a politician is voted out, he or she is not supposed to hold any public property or any elaborated property or luxurious property. Let's get across to Mumbaikars. Let's see what Mumbaikars think about this VVIP culture. Yes, sir. Can I have a name?
Irfan.
Irfan, what do you think? This is the court order about
I think it's a very good decision by the Supreme Court of India. There is hardly any politician who is not a crorepati nowadays. So instead of spending money on providing bungalows and its maintenance, I think it's better if we spend that money on creating more shelter homes for the homeless people. If you just go outside this building, you will see there are so many people who are sleeping on the footpaths and they don't have money for food. So it is better if we spend that money for the homeless people or for the common citizens of India.
Correct. And what do you see, sir?
I think it's a good move because we all know that these people are good enough to pay for their own expenses. So instead of spending so much money on these their houses, this money can be spent on so many other productive things. So yeah, it's a good move.
Okay. What do you see,
sir? It's funny because I was just doing the math. We have 29 states and 7 union territories in India. That is 36 territories, and each of the heads of those territories live in prime locality. So if you do just a quick math on the basis of most of the properties would yield at least 2 lakh per month worth of expenses.
All right, so many solutions coming in, so many suggestions coming in at this point. The Supreme Court today making it clear that its judgment was limited to the Uttar Pradesh law, but there is now likely to be scrutiny in other states as well. And that's possibly the best outcome to have come out of this, where former chief ministers have government bungalows. There will be questions raised there as well. We'll leave it at that tonight on live stream, and I'd like to thank our guests for joining us on the program. Also, Sanjay Jha, Kancham Tiwari and Anjali Damania, and all those of you who called in and messaged us with your questions. Join us again tomorrow night at 7:30.